Hello everyone, and welcome once more to the Warner Bros. Studio tour and the making of Harry Potter. Please do remain in your seats just a moment longer while I welcome you once again. Now then, my name is Ben. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you all here today, especially during our Hogwarts in the Snow feature. Now I know why we're all here, but please do humour me with a wave and a cheer when I ask a very silly question. Do you have any Harry Potter fans here today? Fantastic, so now that I've got my tongue back in and I can speak properly. Hello, you may have noticed that I'm currently in the entrance hall to the great castle itself, which means that there is something very special just behind these doors. So feel free to come up and join me on the stone here as I greet you with the very words that Harry heard when he first arrived at the castle. Welcome to Hogwarts. Yes, everyone, this is the one and only Great Hall of Hogwarts. It was one of the first sets ever constructed for the film series, and taking a look around, you may also notice it's one of the largest. Now, if you haven't already done so, feel free to whip out your cameras and go Colin Creepy Crazy, taking as many photos as you'd like. Just please do keep heading all the way into the room so we can get those doors closed behind you, as it makes for a lovely photo opportunity, and we also want to get that cinema screen down for the next group. Now, considering we are dressed for Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone in relation to its Christmas feast, you may have noticed we have some beautiful Christmas trees arranged around the room, including the one at the back, which is around 25 feet tall. Now, you can see these lovely ornaments of the Christmas trees, these enchanted Christmas trees. They were actually designed by our department, created by our Hogwarts team, arranged and laid by our set decorator team, and then we completed it by adding those beloved very circling around the top. Those are created by our special effects team, headed up by the incredible John Richardson. As we take a look around you may notice we have a sumptuous laid on the tables, including turkeys, roast potatoes, peas, all this stuff. But actually it's not what it seems, because almost all the food you see here is actually made out of a molded plastic known as resin. Originally all this food would have been cooked fresh every day, and it would have smelled absolutely incredible. First, now, after a few hours around the studio lights, it would start to smell like it tastes rather less than incredible. And that was when the filmmakers made the executive decision to replace it all with fake food. Even though the peas are actually just metal ball bearings that was very pretty green. Also, to add to the Christmas feel, you notice we've laid out some beautiful garlands on the panels and also by the fireplace. These are the original garlands that would have been used in the actual Harry Potter films, with a bit of fresh ivy added them to make it look all spruced up and lovely. Now, taking a look around the room, you may also notice that something here is missing. The ceiling. Remember the Great Hall City was enchanted to resemble the night sky, and it would be a bit tricky for us muggles to get clouds and stars up there. Those were magically added and produced by our visual effects team in post-production. A ceiling bottom was made, however, and you'll see that around the corner in just a moment's time. Now, once the ceiling up, you're going to get that floor very stab with your feet. Let it shine. This is really your flagstone. No, this is real stone, which you would find in any castle or cathedral up and down the country. From the very first films, the filmmakers realised the floor would need to withstand a lot of wear and tear, and using real stone was the best way to ensure that it lasted. And it did end up surviving some of the biggest scenes, such as the Yule Ball, which was actually filmed here in the Great Hall. Around the corner, you'll actually see some of the beach aspects from that scene, including the costumes, my favourite of which, of course, was Ron Weasley's, where they actually constructed it out of old carpet fibres to make it look really horrible and bland. Now, looking around once again, you may notice that we have savoury food on the side, but over the other side, where my lovely colleague Claire is, we have some sweet stuff. Now, if you're like me, you'll want to go straight over to that because I have a massive sweet tooth. But I would avoid taking a bite out of those puddings because we're about to demonstrate a very cool special effect. And this effect does involve fire, so if you're right up against those barriers, I would take one step back and keep an eye on Claire, keep an eye on those puddings. Are you ready, Claire? Fantastic. So, on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3. What a cool special effect, eh? Now, I would avoid taking a bite out of these puddings because they were actually made out of concrete to resist the flames. Even the holly you see on top is actually just made out of steel. Now, looking around you in the four corners of the room, you may have noticed that we have some costumes related to the Hogwarts houses, including over to this side, my personal favourite, Hufflepuff, with its yellow and black colours, including the costume worn by Robert Pattinson as Cedric Diggory in Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. Over to the other side, we have Slytherin House with its green and silver colours, of course, including the robes of Draco Malfoy, as born in Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, with his pin from the Equatorial Sword given to him by the evil Professor Hagrid. And next to my lovely colleague Claire, we have Ravenclaw House with its blue and silver colours. Of course, this includes the robes of Moaning Myrtle, the ghost of the girls' bathroom, who is actually a Ravenclaw student. It was also played by a 37-year-old actress, Shirley Henderson, playing a 13-year-old girl. So she was the oldest person to don student robes. And last but certainly least, we have the house of our heroes, Gryffindor. And this includes my personal favourite costume, Harry Potter's very first sort of Hogwarts robe. Worn by Danny Radcliffe at the age of 11 over 20 years ago. As you're following me up to the style table, this is the route that Harry and I would have taken through those doors and down the centre aisle, and then we're being sold to one of Britain's finest acting talent. Of course, this includes Rubius Hagrid, as played by the actor Robbie Coltrane. However, this is not Robbie Coltrane's costume. He was a tall man, standing at about 6'2", but he wasn't quite tall enough to play a 7'6" half giant. This is the costume of his size double, Martin Mayfield, an ex-England rugby player who stands at a whopping 6'10". But even then he wasn't quite tall enough, so they added stills to his shoes and padded out the costume, and even fitted an animatronic head that resembles Robbie Coltrane. And you'll see that a bit later on in our creature effects workshop. Now we're on time and the Great Wall is fast approaching its end, but a few things before we move on today. If you picked up any of the studio tour passports with the little blue booklets, be on the lookout for 7 stamping locations and the 16 golden stamping around your tour. The photo ones hanging on the door to your left, and your first stamping location by the gold top. Also, if you purchase the official guide from the green lanyard, be on the lookout for the numbered icons. Your first 100 model by the director's board to your left in the next section. Also look out for the Back Cafe where we sell butterbeer and butterbeer ice cream, one of the few locations in the world to actually do so. Once again, thank you so much for coming, everyone. Your tour continues just around the corner. We are free to explore and go behind the scenes of the most magical film series in the world. Thank you very much for listening.